Hey everyone, it's Ricky. I just wanted to make this video because I've seen a lot of posts on Twitter and other forums as well, Y Combinator, Hacker News, Stack Overflow, about people having a tough job finding a job. So, lots of jobs out there, people are going through the process and, they're not getting the results they want. So one of the things is that let's talk about firstly, your nerves. So a lot of times people are nervous when they're interviewing. Maybe that's because this is your first interview you've ever had. It could be because this is the first interview you've had in 5 years, or it's because you've been looking for a job for 3 months and you really need to find one. Maybe you've had 20 interviews and you're just not getting the bites that you would expect. So it's okay to be nervous. Just remember that this is just a conversation between you and that company, and those conversations, they go both ways. So a lot of times I've asked hiring managers feedback, and one of the feedback is that they say, well, this person, they didn't really ask a whole lot. They were kind of quiet. I didn't really get a good feel for them. So, pretend you're, talking to one of your best friends. Obviously there's a certain way that you present yourself doing that, but you just want to feel comfortable going in. So they're learning about you just as much as you're learning about them. So be sure to ask questions, because at the end of the day, if all goes well, this will be your job. So you don't want to get in somewhere and perhaps 2 to 3 months later, we've all seen these posts or talked to these people, man, this isn't what I thought it would be. I'm overwhelmed. There's not the support I was looking for. You don't want to get in that situation either. So be sure to ask a lot of questions about the role. One of the things is that also to keep in mind and to help kind of calm your nerves, and write this in your notebook, at the top of a page, just something you can kind of glance at in case you kind of get flustered in an interview, is that the reason why you're talking to them, whether that's a phone call, a Zoom call, in person, whatever it might be, is because they're interested in you. They saw something on your resume, or maybe it was a Twitter post that got them onto you, that, there's something they want to explore even more. And so it's your job to let that come out. And let's face it, sometimes hiring managers, they're great at managing people and getting projects done, but they're not great at actually hiring people. They don't know how it works. Sometimes maybe they've just lucked out and got the right people, but they don't ask the right questions. So, if you haven't seen an opportunity to sell yourself, sometimes you got to make that opportunity. So let's talk about what the goal is of, the interview or the process. So obviously the grand goal is that you want to get the job. In between that though, you want to get to the next step. An important thing to note is that ask whoever you're talking to at some point in that initial conversation, hey, tell me about the process here. Tell me how many steps, who am I going to have to talk to? And let them know that you're curious about that. That way you can better prepare yourself and you can manage your expectations. Because some companies, they can hire you on the spot. Others, we've all heard of Google taking 90 days to bring someone in. So, or 6 months. So just, be able to manage your expectations throughout that process. So let's start out with the actual interview, and then later we'll go back to kind of some of the early parts of the process leading up to the interview. Whenever you're on a phone interview, Zoom interview, let's make sure you're in a quiet place, you have a good connection, have your resume in front of you, and also you want to have another page that has kind of your highlights of stuff that you can reference throughout, that's your selling points. So ask the manager about themselves, first of all. You want to let them know that you're not just interested in yourself getting a job, you're interested in them as well, the company, ask about any kind of growth that they've had, and, and how they've managed that growth, and, how they manage the growth and development among their team. Ask them about, that manager individually, tell me about, what got you to this point. So people love to talk about themselves. They really do. And it gives you a chance to break the ice as well. And like I said, they want to know that you're a good person too. So, and good people ask about and find out about other people. That's just the truth of it. Once you get down to the nuts and bolts of the position, what you're going to want to do is ask that manager. They're going to go over it, hey, tell me about this role. And I'm sure the requisition, that you saw had like a Christmas list. There was probably 10 things on there. Some technologies or skill sets, if you're not in software development, that you don't have. So ask them, hey, what's the most important, thing? What's, I see all this stuff here. What is this role going to be doing day to day? And kind of what are the things that are going to drive this success? And they're going to tell you, you just sit there and you be quiet. And, if there's something you don't understand, ask a follow-up. And, and what this does is it allows you to learn more about the role, but also it allows you an opportunity to sell yourself, because they're going to say, hey, we need someone who can do A, B, and C. And whenever they're done with that, you're going to be able to say, well, great, I've really learned a lot about A. I've one of my through my training and even my own personal projects, I was able to practice B and work on B, and got a long ways to go, but I feel comfortable navigating around that. And and then also I've worked with C. So it allows you to come back and sell your strong points about the position. So. And there's also that, intellectual honesty about, man, I'm really solid on A, B, I'm coming up to speed on, C, I'm not quite as strong on, but there's a lot of resources. So, be able to tell them how you're going to solve problems, and how you're going to keep growing, and, whether that's using a platform like Code Academy or Data Camp or Free Code Camp, or any of the great valuable resources out there, YouTube, Coursera, let them know, okay, well, that's great. One of the things I can do is that I'm going to keep, learning myself on the technologies I'm more proficient at, but also I can add that in there as well. So, another thing to keep in mind, and this kind of goes with that goal of getting to the next step. If you're on the phone interview, you want to go to the Zoom interview. If you're on the Zoom interview, you want to go to the on-site interview. If you're on site, you want to come back for that final, whatever the process might be. You want to get to that next step. So this is a really key point. If you're talking to them and it sounds like a great opportunity for you and something that you would be interested in, and you have to be honest with yourself about this. Am I just saying this because I want the job, or am I saying this because this sounds like what my ideal, first position? Express that interest. Now, you don't have to come out and say, hey, I want the job, but, come out and say toward the end, say, hey, this sounds very interesting. A lot of what you've described here is, are things that I feel like I could, I'm comfortable with. I feel like I could come in and make an impact, be a contributor to the team, and, also grow more into being a more valuable asset. So, if there's an opportunity here, I'd love to explore that even further. It's as simple as that. Express that interest, because, that's another feedback that I remember receiving is that, they sounded, Jimmy sounded great. A lot of skills, seemed like an interesting, learner. Just didn't seem that interested in the job, or our company. He didn't ask us anything about the company. So remember, let's tie that all back together. Um, you know, another thing, the final two things I'll talk about are that they're going to probably ask you something about overcoming a challenge. So think about, it doesn't have to be some grand challenge, where just something, that's just extreme, or something that's like you would be on the cover of, Wired magazine for. But, just talk about how, like, hey, this was where my roadblock was. And this is what I did. These are the resources. This is what I tried out. Walk them through it. I tried this out. This wasn't working. I realized this could be a technology related question, or it could be a non-technical question. Walk them through what you did, because that's going to show them that, hey, whenever you have a problem or a challenge you come across there, you're resourceful enough to go and tackle that. And, you're not going to be afraid to ask questions. So, I put a post on Stack Overflow or Reddit, and, something came, someone, they didn't really solve it, but they helped me out with something I wasn't even thinking about. And that allowed me to go look for that. I looked at, MDM, or, the different, dev docs, or just the documentation. So walk them through your process, because they don't know you. They don't know the work you've done other than what they've seen. But if you can kind of describe it, that helps out a lot. So, well, guys, I know this was kind of a mix mash of different things, but hopefully it's some good information to just maybe plant a little nugget in you. And if you're interested in any other further help I can be, email me. It's rickeydidio@gmail.com. So rickeydidio@gmail. I'd love to help anybody out that I can, whether it's just even looking over your resume, whether it's prepping you individually for an interview, whether it's talking about what are you searching for? Where are you searching? What are the terms you're searching for? Anything I can do, let me know. And, this is a fun journey for everybody. All right. Thanks a lot. Take care.